Hi, Alex here from Rebeloper.com and welcome back to this epic in-app purchases tutorial series where you can learn everything you need to know about in-app purchases for Xcode 10, iOS 12 and Swift 4.2. And today we are going to talk about consumables. So without further ado, let's get to it. Great. In the previous episode, I have shown you the final project that we are going to build out in this series. Now it's time for you to get to work. And of course, we are going to learn all of this together. So go ahead and click the link down below to get your resources. And in the resources, you will have a link pointing to our Rebeloper Store Starter project. Now, what you want to do next is find this green button and go ahead and click on it, and we are going to open it in Xcode. Of course, you can download it or open in desktop. What we want to open in Xcode because I want to clone it. That's right, we are going to clone it. So we are going to put it on desktop, GitHub clones, and this folder is great for me. Let's hit clone and we will replace it because I have already have it cloned. So you won't need to do that. Let me just adjust this so you may see everything. And there we go. Let's take a look at our project, and as you can see, the pods are missing. So we are going to add some Cocoa pods next. So go ahead and close this project. And if you recall, in the previous video, I have talked about the pods. So you will also have a pod file, and that is this one in your resources. So I will just simply open it up. So in Xcode, I will just drag and drop it. Let me just do that again. So I will just drag and drop it onto the Xcode icon, and you can see the current pods. So for our Rebeloper Store Basic, and that includes consumables, we are going to need Merchant Kit, a collection kit and tiny constraints for the example project. So first of all, let me just open up. First of all, let's see how this project looks like, our starter project looks like. So let's go into GitHub clones and Rebeloper Store Starter. And here you have a pod file. Of course, this may change, but the best part is that you can, of course, create your new pods according to the resources that you have just downloaded. So I will just open this up in Xcode again. And here we go. Let me just make this a little bit so you may see everything. So the pod file on the right is the pod file that we are working on, and the other one is the one that you want to copy out the pods from. As you can see, the platform is iOS 12 and the target is a Rebeloper Store Starter, unlike Rebeloper Store that you will see in your downloaded pod file. Okay, so again, you will be able to create this pod file for your new project. If you don't want to follow along with Rebeloper Store Starter, simply create your project, open up terminal, that we will do in just a minute, and type in pod init, and that will create a pod file for you. And then you need to basically copy all of these out. So I will let me just delete this. Okay, here we go. And the first one is for Merchant Kit, and the last two for our example project, Collection Kit and Tiny Constraints. Okay, let me just save this, or basically if you just close it, it should save it. Okay, I will just close the example pod file too, and then open up terminal. Okay, let me make this a little bit bigger so you may see what I am typing in. And now we want to navigate to our root folder of the project, and that is here. Okay, I will just go back to terminal, type in cd and a space, and then just simply drag and drop the root folder of our project into terminal, hit return, and we are inside the root folder. Now, if you are creating a brand new project, then you should type in pod init to create your pod file now, but since we do have our pod file created, we want to install it. So pod install, if I could type that out correctly. Now, if you are doing this for the first time, then pod install should be great, but you should type in pod repo update. So repo update if you have already installed all of these dependencies, so they are updated to the latest version. For now, let me just type in pod install. Okay, let's hit a return, and all of the pod dependencies will be fetched and installed, and it should be ready in just a few seconds. Of course, all of this depends on your internet connection. Okay, let me just go back into Finder and see what has changed. Well, we have a pod file log, and of course we have our Xcode workspace. So from now on, we are going to work with the Rebeloper store starter.xc workspace, because of course we are using CocoaPods. So let me just resize this again and see what's inside here. First of all, let's take a look at the pods. They are great. Okay, and if you take a look at the pods group, you can see collection kit, merchant kit, and tiny constraints. Now, first of all, before we dive into the controllers and all of the files, let me just build and run for the first time, or rather yet just build, so we may see if this build succeeds. And if it doesn't succeed, then the build has succeeded. Great. Now, let me just go ahead and take a look at the folders that we have here. So I was talking about if it doesn't succeed, go ahead and clean your project. But it did. And let's just take a look at the main and the Rebeloper store views and controllers. Okay, I won't go into too much detail here because it's a huge project and it is a starter project. So go ahead and take a look at the well, basically the files here. What I am going to do is rather build this project and see how it all starts up. Okay. As you can see, only Rebeloper Store Basic is available, and I will talk about that in just a few moments, how you can get your hands on Rebeloper Store Pro. Okay, for now let's select our iPhone XR simulator and let's build it and see what we do get with the Rebeloper Store Starter project. And while it is running, go ahead and take a look at your resources, or just go ahead to our store by going to store.rebeloper.com. So again, it's store.rebeloper.com, and find Rebeloper Store, and then you can purchase the other part, Rebeloper Store Pro, for the other good stuff. Okay, let me just move this away. And as you can see, it's basically the same, but without any in-app purchases. Here we have our consumables, or non-consumables, auto-renewable subscriptions, non-renewable subscriptions, and of course our virtual goods. No virtual goods appear at all at this time, and secondary virtual currency, and all of this is empty. Basically, you get the frame of the project that we are going to build out. Now, because we are going to build out consumables in this episode, we are going to create it in App Store Connect right now. But before we do that, we need to basically register our bundle identifier inside your App Store Connect account. Well, basically the developer part of your developer account. So first of all, go ahead and change the bundle identifier. So com.rebeloper store starter, and I will just type in tutorial. Okay, next up, because this is automatically managed by Xcode, you want to go to capabilities and enable in-app purchases. Now, this isn't enabled by default, and I really wanted to leave it as off because it doesn't really matter if I have typed in here the bundle identifier. It isn't quite registered in your developer portal. So what you want to do is enable any of the capabilities, and we are going to enable, let's say, in-app purchases. Of course, you could do that with, let's say, Game Center and then disable it. And the bundle ID should be registered in your developer account. Now, that's it. So we are going to go to Google Chrome again and open up a new tab and go to developer.apple.com. Okay? And now we are going to double check if that ID has been created. Let's select account here and let's type our ID. Great, we are signed in, and select certificates, identifiers and profiles. Okay, then go to app IDs and select the search button and type in, let's say, Rebeloper store, and let's see if the tutorial is there. Yes, com.rebeloper store starter tutorial. So we do have our ID registered. Now what you want to do is go back to your account and select this time App Store Connect. Let's go to App Store Connect, and here we are going to create our app, our App Store Connect app. Okay, select My Apps, and once it is loaded, you will see a plus button at the top left corner. So go ahead and click on that and select New App. We are going to use an iOS app, and let me just simply copy out the name, and it will be Rebeloper Store Starter Tutorial. And of course, you will need to add your own. I will just leave it as is. I would choose the language to be US. Bundle ID, let me just scroll down. SKU, again, without spaces. I usually add the name of our app without spaces. Let me just add spaces here so you may see the difference. Oh, and it's a bit too long, so Rebeloper Store, let's say tutorial. Okay, that's great. And I will add user access to be full. And let's click on the create button. Oh, the app name you enter is already being used. I most probably used that. So let's say Rebeloper Store Starter Tut. Okay, let's click on create. Of course, if the name is already used that you have typed in, this error will occur for you too. Error handling at its best. Okay, now what you want to do next is basically create a new in-app purchase. So go to Features and then select your in-app purchases. It is there by default, and let's create a new in-app purchase by clicking on this plus button. And we are going to create, as I said earlier, a consumable. So let's create that. And here we have some fields that we need to fill in. So let's go back to our not the started project, the finished project. So let's minimize this. Here we have our starter project, and inside here we have, let me just go to our Rebeloper store config.plist file that I will be talking about in just a second, maybe in the next tutorial. We have two virtual currency pack consumable 1 and virtual currency pack consumable 2. So I will just type in here, let me just copy out and go back to the App Store and add here our product ID and type in here Rebeloper store starter and tutorial. Now, why did I type in that? Well, that is because we are going to use the bundle ID com.rebeloper store starter tutorial and append it with a dot. You see that there's a dot there and the name of your, well, consumable, and that is a virtual currency pack consumable 1 because we are going to buy some coins. Okay, and the reference name, let's see, and let me just fire up this build here. Let me just minimize this and fire it up on my phone, so I may just copy out what we are going to have in our Rebeloper store. Okay, let me just show you what it does. Here we have our consumables, so bag of coins. Okay, bag of coins. So let's go back to Google Chrome and type in here bag of coins. Okay, let us just scroll down and select for the pricing. That is, I believe, here we go, it is tier 5. Great, now that we have our pricing set up, let's select our display name and I will just copy the reference name. Now the reference name is only visible in App Store Connect and the display name is basically displayed for your user. So I will just copy that in and go ahead, and our description I will just copy it out from my phone here and just fast forward this. Okay, and now let's go ahead and scroll down and choose a screenshot. Now you should have screenshots added here with the finished game, but we are not having any finished games yet, but we do have a file here. Let me just go back. In-app purchase template screen PNG. So you want to add that here. So let me just see if drag and drop works. Yes, it does. And of course you want to change this later on. Okay, and now let's click on save. Great. Let's see all of our currently managed in-app purchases. So here we have our bag of coins. It is a consumable. Here is our product ID and it should have the status of ready to submit. So basically that is how easy it is to create your in-app purchase in the App Store Connect. Now what you want to do next is go back to the code and add it to the specified fields. So let's do that now. Let's go back to Xcode and we want to select the starter project. Okay, now go ahead and open up Rebeloper Store Basic and Rebeloper Store config plist file. And as you can see, we have a bunch of products here. And let's select our item 0. And here you can see we have an identifier. And I will just edit this. You most probably want to copy out the one from App Store Connect. Now, as you can see, here we have our identifier and we have our consumable. So the kind must be consumable. If you go ahead and select item 1, you can see it is again a consumable, and I will do this later on so it will be ready for the next tutorial. Go ahead and add as many consumables as you'd like to your project. But before we go do that, let's select item 2, and as you can see, it is a non-consumable, so we will talk about non-consumables just later on. Till then, go ahead and create your second virtual currency pack, the second consumable, and in the next video we will talk about how you can basically get that into your project by typing in some code. Now, I hope you enjoyed this video. Go ahead and give it a thumbs up if you did, and subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. Okay, now it is your turn. Go ahead and create your consumables if you want to have more, and I will see you in the next video where we will be having some cool code to type in. Okay, see you in the next one.